Selvak. You might have seen some of those really cool videos floating around where Tears of the Kingdom players are killing Moldugas and other really strong bosses in just one hit, often tossing the sword at the enemy and walking away without looking in true action hero fashion. I'm going to be shedding some light on this phenomenon, not just telling you how you can do it yourself, which I will, but also talking about the reality behind it. Is it actually possible to one-hit kill Phantom Ganon, for instance? Is it as easy or as difficult as these players make it seem? I'll also show you how to use the secret techniques involved to kill 5 Lynels in under 5 minutes. That's the entire floating Colosseum. So can you really one-hit kill a Molduga or even Phantom Ganon? Yes, you actually can, but it's not quite as simple as it might seem. It's not just a matter of fusing the right material to the right weapon. There are a number of steps to creating not just the weapon itself, but also the conditions to maximize the output which is necessary for this effect. But don't give up. You can certainly do it with a bit of patience and some knowledge of the game. So keep watching. I did also want to talk about another type of video that I've seen floating around where the player takes on a powerful enemy and does so in a very stylish and smooth way. There's a little more here than meets the eye, which I think is worth exploring, but I think it would be better as its own video. So please give me a sub if you want to see that in the future. So, one-hit boss kills. Here's how to do it. Let's start with the weapon. There are actually 2 weapons I want to talk about here. The Gidbo Claymore and the Molduga Hammer. Gibdo and Molduga are 2 words that I've been saying both wrong for several years now. Gibdo especially. Since the days of Majora's Mask, I've been saying that wrong. I've been saying Gidbo and Molduga. It literally is only in researching for this video that I've realized I was saying it wrong. Anyway, these 2 weapons are both made basically the same way and put under almost the same conditions to become ultra powerful. The main difference is the fuse material. The Gibdo Claymore is purely a one-hit wonder. It breaks when you use it, but it's so powerful that you really can take out bosses in just one hit. The Molduga Hammer, on the other hand, is also a one-hit weapon, and it's not quite as strong as the Gibdo Claymore, but it is an amazing weapon that you can use as a permanent, dedicated Lynel killer. By the way, I really wish you could give your weapons unique names in this game. That'd be very cool. I'd call this one Lynel's Bane, because it's appropriate and it sounds really cool. Well, I think it does anyway. For both weapons, you'll need a Royal Guard's Claymore. You'll need the Pristine version, which is quite hard to get hold of. This is where some detailed knowledge of the game, as well as some patience, comes in. In order to access the pristine version of the weapon, you'll need to find and destroy the decayed version. If you've already done that, or you know how to get hold of the pristine Royal Guard's Claymore, or if you already have it, then skip to the next section in the timeline. You can find the decayed version right at this spot in Ganon's castle. Look behind the broken statue in the sanctum, and there it is. Or as the French say, there it is, but in French. This respawns after a blood moon, so if you want it again later, then you know where it is. The next step is to break that weapon. If you plan on making Lynel's Bane with a Molduga jaw, I would recommend doing this by fighting a Molduga, since you're going to need its jaw anyway. However you do it, after you've broken the Royal Guard's Claymore, you then have the potential to find the pristine version in the depths. You'll find it being held by one of those shadowy, statuey guys. But don't go and wander around aimlessly. You'll never find it. There are only a few places where it might spawn. So head towards one of these areas, and then if you want to find it in just a few minutes, follow these next steps closely, because you could spend hours looking for this weapon. So listen up. The trick here is to get near to one of those shadowy statue guys and save the game. Just make sure before you save that the weapon he's holding hasn't spawned in yet. Otherwise, the weapon that spawned will be locked in, and you'll have to wait for a blood moon or find another statue. If you get near enough to see through your scope that the weapon hasn't spawned in, the shadowy guy will also not have spawned in yet, by the way. It'll just be a pile of rocks. Anyway, if you see that he's not there, you're safe to save the game. I like this particular spot as I can quite quickly float down from my save point to the statue. As you can see, this is not the Royal Guard's Claymore, so what I'll do is reload that save and try again. This definitely requires some patience, but it doesn't take too many times before it spawns. It took a lot longer for me because I originally went to a different spot and I got too close to the statue and it spawned in a different weapon, and I was reloading and reloading and reloading, and I eventually realized this isn't even bringing up a different weapon, let alone the one I'm looking for. And that's what I mean about following these steps closely. You could waste a lot of time if you don't. Repeat this process until you see that he's holding the Royal Guard's Claymore. But don't pick it up just yet. First, you want to save the game again. It's now locked in that this weapon will appear, so it's safe to save and reload the game. The reason for saving here is that you're looking for a version of this sword with a particular buff, the +10 attack up. Pick up the sword, and if it doesn't have this particular buff, reload that new save and try again until you see that gold +10 attack up. If you do pick up the sword before saving and it doesn't have this buff, or if you already had a pristine version of the sword before you started watching this video, there is still a way to get your hands on that buff. Head to the Elden region and find yourself a rock Octorok. Save the game and then drop your sword. Let him eat it and he'll spit it out with a random buff. If it's not the +10, then reload and repeat, because he only does 1 buff per blood moon. But I found that this buff just wouldn't appear despite grinding for quite a long time. So I had a look online for what I was doing wrong, and someone suggested getting a random buff by an Octorok, then finding a different one, and after saving the game, getting a buff from that second Octorok. This actually worked, as I got the +10 attack up after like 2 attempts at the second Octorok. Now that you've got the Pristine Royal Guards Claymore, you just need either a Molduga jaw or a Gibdo bone, depending on which weapon you're making. Why these materials? There are ones with a higher fuse attack power than this, aren't there? Why not a silver Lynel horn? For this trick to work, it needs to be a bone. There's a reason for that, which I'll explain later.
We will explain later.
You can obtain a Molduga jaw by beating a Molduga. No, you can't one-hit it yet, but it doesn't matter, just go and batter it. If you followed the story, then you'll already have tons of Gibdo bones. If not, then just head into the Gerudo Desert and find some Gidbos amongst the sandstorm. You'll need to throw something fiery or electric at it to stun it, and then just punch them in the face. To make the Molduga Hammer, fuse the Molduga jaw to the Pristine Royal Guards Claymore, and you've got your base weapon. Now here's one of the little secrets that make this way more powerful. Because this is a pristine weapon, its damage output increases when it's damaged, so damage it. Again, you can do so by fighting enemies, but I think it's safer to just bash the ground, since then you'll be more likely to notice when the notification pops up to say that your weapon is damaged, and you'll also have more control over stopping the weapon once it reaches that point. So once you see that notification, damage the Claymore 2 more times. This means that it's on its last hit, which means it will multiply the damage even more. I'm not really going into the maths in this video, but I believe the damaged weapon does 2 times attack, but on its last hit does 4 times damage. And this brings us on to the next step, which is a way that we can multiply damage output even more. If you want to know how to make the Gibdo Claymore, then keep watching. Otherwise, skip along the timeline to how to find and upgrade the Radiant set. Like with the Molduga Hammer, you'll want to get hold of a Pristine Royal Guards Claymore and damage it until it's on its last hit. But here's the tricky part. If you get to its last hit, then fuse the Gibdo bone to it, the damage output actually goes down. This is because fusing the material to it adds durability, meaning that you're no longer getting that last hit bonus. You can't attach the Gibdo bone to the weapon and then break it, because the bone just breaks in one hit every time. It actually took me a long time to figure out how to do this. I went down a rabbit hole of articles, Reddit posts, YouTube comments, until I finally found the answer, which was actually in a comment straight from the creator of this awesome clip, right there buried deep within the comments. What you want to do is first fuse any material to the Claymore. I'd use something you don't care about, like a Bokoblin horn or something. Then damage the weapon until you get that near breaking point notification, and then twice more to get it to its last hit. Then go into the weapon menu and destroy the attached item. Some of you probably don't know you can do that. It took me ages to realize that. This will allow you to fuse a Gibdo bone without adding any durability, which as you can see gives it even more attack power than the Molduga Hammer. And that is the Gibdo Claymore complete. There are still 2 more things you need before you can one-hit kill a Molduga or Phantom Ganon or any other. Well, some of them you probably can by now, some of the weaker ones, but I'm talking about the strongest ones. The next thing you'll need is the Radiant Armor set, or Radiant set. Why would you want this instead of the Barbarian set's attack up perk? Well, you're also going to make yourself an attack up meal, which gives you the maximum attack boost. You know, the one where it's got 3 little swords right there. You can't stack one attack boost with another, so you'd have to choose between using either the perk from the Barbarian set or the attack boost from a meal. Doing both won't gain you anything. However, the Bone Proficiency perk, which comes with the level 2 upgraded version of the Radiant set, does stack with the attack up boost, so you end up with a much higher final damage output when using both. The Radiant Armor can be found in the armor shop known as Enchanted in Kakariko Village. You need to complete a short side quest first, but it's pretty easy. You basically just need to make some gloom porridge, which you can do by combining Hylian rice, milk, and a Sunderlion. Then you can buy the whole Radiant set in the shop for way less than it's first advertised for, but you'll need to upgrade it to at least level 2 to get that Bone Proficiency perk. So make sure you have lots of Bokoblin and Moblin guts, Luminous stones, and of course rupees, and head to a Great Fairy. If you haven't unlocked the Great Fairies yet, go to the Lucky Clover Gazette, which is just outside the Rito City, and follow the side adventure quests that you can start there. Completing those, you'll unlock the Fairy Fountains. Once the whole Radiant set is at level 2, you can wear all 3 parts to gain that Bone Proficiency bonus. Using the Molduga Hammer, or Lynels Bane as I've dubbed it, you can easily take on the entire floating Colosseum in the depths in under 5 minutes. That's what I did, but I think you can do better than that. Don't forget to equip the Radiant set and eat an attack up meal, which I forgot to do, and then you're ready to go. All you have to do is stun the Lynel by shooting it in the face, then mount it and start hitting. As you can see, you can kill the first Lynel here in 2 hits. Since these hits don't damage your weapon, the Molduga Hammer, despite being on its last hit, just keeps going, and you get that last hit bonus every single time. And you can do even better than this, as for some reason, like I said, I forgot to eat the attack up meal, so imagine what you can do if you actually do it right. Also, here's 2 tips about stunning Lynels. If a Lynel takes out his bow, then you can't stun him, so be careful not to let him do that. Try and get some lift and aim for the face as quickly as possible, which actually brings me on to my next tip, which you can use for any fight really, which is use steering sticks. Steering sticks are secretly overpowered. Use them in any fight where bullet time would help you out. Yeah, I really wish I'd used the attack up meal here, so I could show off even more how easily you could blast through these, but at least you get to try it for yourself and feel like even more of an epic boss. Keep hitting my hat on that. If you want to perform what is probably the most awesome looking move in the game, which is killing a boss monster with one hit, here's how. You've already made the Gibdo Claymore, just make sure to equip the Radiant set and eat an attack up meal, and then just chuck the sword. Chuck it at Molduga and watch that entire health bar disappear. Just lob your weapon at Black Hinox and dispatch it immediately. Make instant mincemeat of even Phantom Ganon with a single... Okay, well, you get the idea. By the way, there's something even more epic that you can do with this if you're willing to take the time to set up this same weapon multiple times. One player, by the Reddit name of Caper Knight, I believe it was this player, wasted Ganondorf in less than a minute. The whole final boss, just over 50 seconds, just by throwing Gibdo Claymores at him. Genius. This isn't even gaming anymore. This is art.
Modern art!
What else can we accomplish in the future if we continue to pool our knowledge of this game together and keep building on it? Only time will tell. Thank you for watching my video. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Savok.